Today I've got a super simple tip for unifying and maybe dulling down your colors on a canvas or I'm working in an art journal today. When your colors are bright or they don't feel like they're all coming together, I apply a simple glaze, and it's super simple, it's super short, but it is something that can have a dramatic result and change the whole look and feel of whatever art piece that you're working on. So I hope that you will give this a try anytime that you're thinking that your piece isn't kind of gelling or working, and maybe your colors are they're just not, they just don't seem like they're jiving, I guess, is for lack of a better word. I would definitely try this. It's a super simple tip. It's probably one of the shortest videos I've ever made. And so there's not much else to say other than I hope that you give it a try, particularly if you have bright colors or colors that need to be more unified. So without further ado, let's get started. Today I'm starting with a very bright background. Having used really bright colors, obviously. And I want to show you what I do in a case like this when I have used really bright colors, but I want to tone it down the whole thing. I don't want to get rid of it, regardless of whether you like the composition or not. I actually have two examples, and I'm going to show you what I would do in a case like this when I'm finished and it's like, it's a little bright. So I would create kind of a glaze over the top using typically either raw umber or bone black. Bone black is more of a transparent black, not quite as opaque, and black would work, a regular black would work as well, but I find that this is easier to manage in terms of black can just be a little bit out of control. I will say raw umber is my #1 favorite for this technique. So I'm going to start with the raw umber, and then we'll use the bone black. I also typically use like a thick, not a thick, but a mop brush that has it's a wide bristle to go around. And then I have paper towel because I'm going to wipe it off, and then a spray bottle to spray it. So typically what I would do just to begin is I would spray, and I would just work directly on it, on whatever canvas, palette, whatever I have. In this case, it's an art journal. So I sprayed water directly on there. And then this is looking maybe slightly plugged. So 1 second. Okay, I got my bottle unplugged. So the other thing that I would do is I would make sure that the bristles were damp. So I'm going to put it into my water over here to the side and just kind of tamp it off so it's ready to go. And then I just basically put some dollops onto the surface and then spread it around. And so it looks like, oh my gosh, I totally ruined it, but I'll show you what we got once we wipe off the excess. So I try to get everything fairly covered. You could do part of a page if you didn't want the whole thing to be muted. So should have taken a before and after photo. But as you can see, just after you wipe it away, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. So, but let's say, oh my gosh, it's a little bit too dark for me. Then I would just spray some more water on and go over it one more time. It's going to take off even more. So as long as you don't leave it too long and let it completely dry. But for me, actually the second is fine. It has muted it. I don't know if you can see the difference on camera, but I really like actually how that turned out. And so often when I am using brighter colors, if I haven't mixed them to dull them down, which is a lot of times what I do, then I just go over with the glaze, either in the raw umber or in the bone black. So I'm going to grab the other art journal that I have, and I did use the exact same colors, a slightly different composition, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing, just so you can kind of see how that looks with either the raw umber or the bone black. Obviously, you could experiment with gray, or I've actually done with different, like I want to say like burnt sienna, kind of a reddish color. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to glaze, and particularly if you have some texture in there, it can have a really, in my opinion, a really cool effect. So again, just going to wipe that off. Can be as subtle or as much as you want. Okay, so in the last case, we decided we had taken too much, or we wanted more off. in this case, let's say I want to add more. It didn't tone it down enough for me. It also unifies a painting. Sometimes a painting can look like it's very disjointed, but a glaze can also help unify it besides toning down whatever you're doing. But in this case, let's say, oh gosh, I didn't put enough on there. Well, then I would just do, I don't know if I would, I'm trying to think, do I usually squirt again? I don't think I do. I think I just go back in, my paintbrush is wet, I'm gonna make sure it's wet, and then I just go back in if I want it darker, do a similar thing, just do it one more time, go over the whole thing, because it's already kind of damp. So I'm acting like I don't know what I do, but you know, I get on camera, as you guys know, and then I lose my mind because I can't remember anything. Okay, so let's see if this has any dry spots left on it. Okay, and so then you could just keep doing this until you have it toned down enough. Or if, for example, you wanted this pink to pop out a little bit more, you could leave it darker down here and lighter up here, whatever. There's just lots of ways to use a glazing medium. And there are, like when I say glazing medium, there are glazing mediums. There are mediums you can add to add more of a glaze. I typically just water down a fluid acrylic because I find it's really easy. I already have the paint. I don't need to buy a medium or add anything else to it. And I find that this works really well because I'm not looking for the intensity of the color. I'm just looking for a simple glaze. So I hope this gives you a tip, because sometimes I feel like we just, we're trying to figure out like, oh, those colors, I don't really like them. But honestly, sometimes if you don't like a color, a glaze can totally change everything for you. So I would definitely give this a try. If you have a painting or an art journal page that you feel like you don't really like, try glazing it before you start painting over it and just see if that doesn't help unify the colors and just kind of create, it'll get into the texture. If you've created texture, it just is a really, I just love glazing over things like this. So anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.